Our next speaker is Mark Wilsmore from Motorcycle Action Group. He also runs the ACE Café. Well, if you'd like to come up and give your take on what matters for London's road users and in particular,
first off, thanks to Alex and your assistant Ian for extending the invite, and just to give a little account of myself, so I'm here on behalf of MAG, Motorcycle Action Group, of which I'm a member, the Greater London MAG. I'm not the chairman or the secretary or anything like that, but unfortunately the chair, a guy for the London MAG anyhow, who shared the same name as me, another Mark, couldn't make it this evening and asked if I could come along here. So I live in North London, it's dead easy to get here, so that's why I'm here. And as Alex has already remarked, I kind of got two hats, in as much that, yes, MAG member for a long, long time, and I have premises which I'm responsible for called ACE Café in North London, kind of well known, if not notorious, for motors, particularly perhaps motorbikes. I'm going to stay with MAG for the moment because they do a splendid magazine each month, much better than, I'm afraid, this newsletter, I think. And just to illustrate how much better it is, I shall give you a sample of what's in here. And amongst the heavyweight tomes, there's lots of heavyweight stuff in here. There's a jokes page. There's a couple of wonderful jokes. The police came to my house and said my dog had chased someone on a bicycle. I said, don't be crazy, my dog doesn't ride a bicycle. Quality stuff. Another one. I met a Dalek that was looking for directions home. Asking where he was from, he replied, Devon, mate. I replied, what part, mate? He replied, Exeter, mate. Exeter, mate. Exeter, mate. Blah, 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 blah. But yes, hopefully you will look up MAG, Motorcycle Action Group. There's lots and lots of stuff there in MAG, lots of things to fight about and whatnot. But I will give Alex, start here, because it's proposals for TfL's Vision Zero Action Plan 2 as a gift from MAG. It's online, but yes, it's definitely glasses wearing stuff and probably for your colleague Ian to digest, and hopefully that will be of use. But prior to coming here this evening, I spoke to Mark, the chair chap at MAG London, and he asked him to do a page of bullet points to bring to this meeting. And regrettably, he gave me a page, it's 5 pages of bullet points. The sum of which is this. And as I get to the right page, which is the back page, I'll add my own observations. A motorcyclist since my teens, and I'm 68. I've managed to somehow survive to 68. So I'll say I'm quite an expert rider about London. No London, I've ridden a lot in Europe, quite a bit in America. I know the NHS inside out as a consequence, because I'm not the best of riders, which reminds me about Keith Prince. I've met Keith Prince a number of times, since which time he has come to join your party. And Keith Prince, as some of you may or may not know, is a motorcyclist. That's the context. I've met him before with the MAG stuff. But I can actually say, and I would say if he was here, that he's clearly not a very good motorcyclist because he's put himself in hospital in late adulthood. I haven't. I have not managed to go back to hospital other than for things that happen to old men. As you get older, these things come back. But yes. So I can only think to suggest that you don't listen to Keith and his advice about motorcycling. But on a rather more serious note, about MAG and the observations, of which I absolutely agree with these observations. And it's headed It's not very wisely headed in my view, but I'll read it to you. The political angle for Reform UK. Working people issues. There are thousands of delivery riders. Motorcycles are affordable transport for tradespeople, NHS staff, workers. And you may or may not know, yes, there are plumbers with bikes with all the kit on them. There are electricians and all these top boxes, etc. whiz about London. Double standards out there. Bicycles, they've been welcomed, they're given infrastructure and they're allowed almost everywhere, it seems. Motorcycles, note they're blocked from LTNs. It's inconsistent across bus lanes and parking's been removed. Yet motorcycles and bicycles have a similar footprint, similar vulnerabilities, and certainly when it comes to cars, often they're lower emissions than the older cars. As much as I love classic cars and whatnot, yes, you can get coughing behind some of those, particularly. I think, is it your husband?
My husband, Nick, at the back, he has three.
You've got three, including Jack.
Yeah, well, they, yeah.
Because I always recall them as smoky things. Lovely when they're new, but eventually the motor gets very smoky. Sorry, I've been rocking that Jags and things. Staying with these evidence versus ideology. Current policies driven by anti-car, anti-vehicle ideology. Motorcycles caught in the crossfire despite being arguably part of the solution. They're space efficient, emission efficient, congestion reducing, etc. And I'll stay with that anti-car, anti-vehicle thing, because it was Boris who, if I recall correctly, that started all this, really, with endeavouring to design out from planning consents all the way through to widths of roads and widths of footpaths, designing out the private ownership of vehicles, in essence. There's a right to choose. Well, right to choose. Yes, there is a right to choose, but practical and affordable transport. And I think that's the key bit. You know, we tend to perhaps overlook that why cars caught on. I think it's motorcycle sales after World War II just went up and up and up. As kids, then the dominant lump of society, a booming, huge exploding demographic, the biggest demographic explosion in the Western world. This side of the Atlantic, kids had a bit of work, and a bit of money. They went out and bought the fastest thing they could afford. That was a motorbike. Other side of the Atlantic, exactly the same dynamics at work. Baby boom, work, bit of money, they could go out and afford to buy the fastest thing they could afford was a car. In America, there's this car boom over here, driven by youngsters. Over here, it's a bike boom. And the peak of motorcycle sales UK is 1959. And it's that year that a bike came out called the Triumph Bonneville, quite revolutionary in its day, and a carburettor on each barrel, so it's very quick off the lights. And have in mind that the bikes then got replaced effectively by cars as they got cheaper and cheaper. So by 1969, more and more people had cars. And what I'd like to see actually is thinking deregulation. Is the speed limits deregulated? Why not deregulate the speed limits on the North Circular, which is a road I travel daily and see people go past with electric scooters and things faster than I'm doing on the national speed limit, 40 miles an hour. Asks for bus lane, yes, access across all London boroughs. Motorcycles would love to have access to all of them. At the moment it's only TfL. Some boroughs you can, other boroughs they won't. Default motorcycle access through the LTNs, secure motorcycle parking. The gig economy, proper training, because there's no training behind them. And a lot of the kids doing the Uber deliveries and all the rest of it, they may be offered training, ostensibly, but then they have to sign off to say they don't want to do it. So they wind up with no skills at all, and they've signed a disclaimer that they don't want to train. One set of rules across all London boroughs. Yes, I'll send this on to Alex and Ian so they can read and digest at their leisure. For the magazine, though, you have to be a member of the magazine. So for the rest of the jokes, you need to subscribe to the magazine and get your copy. But thank you very much, and hopefully that's some little insight into the wonderful world of motorcycling. Thank you.